Hi guys and welcome back to the channel and welcome back to yet another Frieren, not Friday, upload. Sadly, I just had a terrible scheduling conflict for the week yet again. It's just really upsetting when I'm not able to get these episodes out on a Friday. I'm hoping that this Friday I can rectify that and I can, have the episode out on Friday, but I'm not going to make any promises. But we are getting episode number 4 for season 2 done today. We're going to be checking it out today. And of course, this is the episode where hopefully Fern and Stark will go out on their date. And what does that mean? Is this going to be an entire length episode for the date? Is it going to be the first half? Or is the first half going to be more setting up for the date? I don't know, but I'm really, really excited and looking forward to this because I think it's going to be a great episode for those two characters. I think we're going to get a lot of interesting conversations. I hope that they express how they feel about one another, perhaps, or express just thoughts in general. I hope that they can lean on each other and I hope that they can depend on each other more going forward. And I hope that this is a point that we can look back to for, a catalyst for a lot of things to come for the future for these two characters. And yeah, I'm so glad that we're getting this, especially after that first episode in season 2 when Fern was very clearly worried that Stark might be leaving. So yeah, this is going to be a great episode. I just know it. I know I'm going to really love and enjoy this one. And it's not going to have anything crazy, I'm sure. It's probably just going to be very grounded in what they're doing. But yeah, not going to yap much longer. Just very excited and hopeful that this is a really, really just nice, rewarding episode. It's going to be rewarding regardless if they go on the date, that is. So yeah, let's just check this one out. If you guys do enjoy, please leave a like and subscribe if you have not done so already. And comment down below letting me know if you were surprised that this episode was coming, like the date and everything, like if this came as a surprise to you or if you just saw the signals a long way away. If you want to show even more support, you can hit the notification bell down below so that you'll be notified when these Frieren uploads and other uploads on the channel go live. And of course, feel free to share this with someone that you think might enjoy Frieren episode reaction content. I got season 1 reactions on the channel and we're currently working through season 2, so yeah, why don't we just jump right into this one? Frieren, Season 2, Episode number 4. Let's go. Oh my god, I don't know why I'm just like about to start crying watching this opening for the 5th time. Or 4th time. I don't. I've seen this more than 4 or 5 times. Don't know why this shit it's so good. Episode number 32, Other People's Homes. Random, but they should have delayed Frieren a week so that this episode with the date would have aired on the week of Valentine's. Oh, she's picking out a dress. She's gonna dress herself up. That's so cute. Oh my god, Frieren, stop caring about yourself. Fern is asking for an opinion. Oh, that's really cute. Just don't pray it out of anger. Aw, she's cute. Purple is her color, of course. The way she's just like fixing the little strands of hair. Oh, I hope Stark isn't just wearing his normal clothes. He is! He didn't even dress up. Typical man. He's gonna be blown away when he sees her. Because he's never seen her as like a woman before, probably, really. Not even... Okay, he's being weird. He's being weird and awkward. He should have said something. That's all you can say. It's a date. Yeah. Do you feel bad now, mister, for wearing your usual clothes? Seeing the way other people talk. Because he's never had that with Fern. Oh? The slow-mo, the sparkle effect? You've just never seen her that way. You've always just seen her as a companion on this journey. He's such a goofball.
フリーレン様も通ってましたね。
すごいね。
だから宿屋に変な魔道具が山積みになっていたんですね。
That's really funny.
惨状が目に浮かぶぜ。
この前は魔道具に埋もれて眠っていました。
yeah, I could certainly see that. What is that skull though? Skull of some big beast?
それに今日は髪の毛をアップにもしませんで
Oh,
し
she
た。
kept it down. Cute.
しみる。
お嬢ちゃん、今日は可愛い髪型だね。
Does the cute hairstyle make her look more youthful?
フリーレン様の話になってしまいますね。
まあ、他に話題もないしな。
That's not the right thing to say. Okay, Fern, you're getting ick. You're getting the ick.
とりあえずなんか食べる？
いえ、まだいいです。
Oh?
そっか。
That kind of ruins all your plans. She's not snacking.
これカップル割引だそうです。
Oh?
デートってお得なんだな。
身も蓋もありませんね。
Jeez. Going on a date has its benefits is such a mean thing to say.
しかし結構普通のものばかりだな。
魔道具みたいなのばかりだったら驚きですよ。
それもそうだな。せっかくの街なんだし、他の場所も見て回ろうぜ。
Yo, you're saying that right in front of the seller? That's crazy.
お姉さん、これください。
あいよ、毎度あり。
The very thing that she picked out. That's
あっちに
sad.
美味しそうな屋台があったぜ。
Oh, that look back. Holy, that's huge.
あっちにテーブルがあります。
あ、
Jeez, big ass dumplings. Oh no.
おっと。大丈夫か？
すみません。
確かにその靴、歩きにくそうだ。
Oh no, they've got a scuff in them now. She put them on to look nice for you. And all you could do was think to yourself, has she always been this cute? You didn't even say anything? Stark, you're really letting the team down here. He got his, what was it called? Like, triple berry? I don't even remember, but it was, yeah,
ヒンメ
the
ル
thing he
様
got with Aizen.
どの町にもありますね。
この街でのポーズもかっこよかったな。
That's all that matters. That's what he
ゾ
wanted.
ンのポーズは100通り以上あるらしいぜ。
結局またフリーレン様の話になってしまいました。
We gotta talk about us.
しかし物静かでいいところですね。景色も綺麗ですし。
フェルン、もしかしてあまり楽しくなかった？
そんなことない
She
で
was
すよ。
expecting more.
今日はまだ一度も笑っていない。
そうですね。確かに好みな場所ばかりでした
But
け
it's
ど
all stuff that you could have done anywhere. Like, there was nothing.
シュタルク様らしくなか
Yeah.
ったです。
Okay, I see that.
せっかくのデートだったのに。
Aw.
ごめんフェルン。実はフリーレンに選んでもらったんだ。
Yeah.
どうしてそんなことを。
Because he didn't know what to do.
どうしてもフェルンに喜んでほしかった。
Aw.
せっかくのデートだから。
確かに今日は少し残念に思いました。でも
Could she see that you tried? Oh, the smile. Aw.
私のために一緒に考えてくれたんですね。
フェルン、
It's the effort that she finally smiles for.
すごく穏やかな時間ですね。あの雲ちょっと似てませんか？
Big dumpling.
俺も思ってた。
繊細孤児だった頃はこんなのんびりできるようになるとは思っていませんでした。ハイター様のおかげですね。
Aw.
俺だって師匠のおかげだ。
Aizen and Hyder, of course. Big influences on their lives.
好き嫌いをしていては強い戦士。
You have no room to be picky. Eat the carrots, damn it. They're good for you.
なんで俺なんか拾ってくれたんだ。
He sees himself in you.
勇者ヒンメルならそうした
Aw.
からだ。
And yes, obviously that too. Oh, a different hairstyle again?
なんだか機嫌がいいみたいだね。いいことあったの？別に。
ここにもいなかったか。参ったね。依頼主から聞いた心当たりはもう全部。
Is this them looking for the kitten?
ヒンメル、どうして笑っているの？
Come on.
僕は今機嫌がいいんだ。今日はいい一日だったからね。
朝から二人して迷子の猫を探して歩き回っただけじゃん。
そうだね。でも僕は君と二人で出かけられて楽しかった。
Yeah.
期待した通りにいかなくてもその過程が楽しければいい。そんなことでも
Enjoy the journey. That's what this whole series has been about. So this little episode.
ハイターたちに先を越される前に
Yeah.
もう一踏ん張りしよう。
And there it is! Why would you summon your staff? This little episode kind of like, you know, talking about like enjoying the journey in a very like small way. Kind of like, yeah, I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense, but you know, it's cute.
機嫌がいい時の水飲
When
みたい。
Fern's in a good mood.
どう？決まってるでしょ。
29 years after the death of him, the hero in the Nakrekt region located in the northern lands.
火山地帯を抜けたからね。
Oh shit, the big triumphant music. The northern plateau checkpoint.
それだけ外が危険だということだよ。
Just that dangerous. But we've got a first class mage, so we'll be fine. Look at the geese! Is there space for all this?
そのカバン見た目よりたくさん入るんだな。
便利でしょ。
Oh, it is. Let's just not, like, you know, leave it behind somewhere now that we've drawn attention to it.
一級魔法使いフェルン様ですね。
She
お
is.
気をつけて。
I love that we're allowed to just get access. She is very impressive.
魔法使い
More than you would know.
だからね。
なんだか危険って言われていた割には普通の場所だな。
Ho ho, but just wait.
本気で言ってるんですか？シュタルク様。
He can't sense the mana.
囲まれたね。
Surrounded. Oh shit. Dinosaur beasts.
気を引き締めて。
Are you serious, Stark? It's so funny. Just the beginning. Oh shit. Okay. Let's go. It's so funny just watching Stark zip around and then Frieren and Fern. Oh? Holy shit. A mountain giant thing? That's crazy. And then just watching, you know, Fern and Stark just standing there blasting. Oh no, he's been hypnotized. Poor little Stark. Damn, even when they're sleeping, they can't get any sleep. That made no sense. Yeah, this place is crazy. 3 days and nights?
使っていない小屋がありますので、ご自由にお使いください。
ありがとう。
それで、代わりと言ってはなんですが、
Oh, now here we go. Can you go kill some things for us?
実はこの先の街道に
The main road. A powerful monster.
行商人も来れぬようになってしまったのです。
I would hate to be a traveling merchant in this location, like this land.
どうかその魔物を討伐して
Yeah,
はく
can
れ
you
ませんでしょうか。
save
いい
us?
よ。どうせ北上するし。ついでに討伐しておくよ。
Just give us like a couple days to rest, please.
街道を南に下れば3日もあれば北部高原から出られるんだ。こんな危険な場所で暮らす必要はねえんじゃねえか？
Fair question.
確かにここは北側諸国でも危険な土地です。ですが、私たちはここで生まれ育ったのです。
Even still, you've got a family that you need to think about.
家族との思い出がたくさん詰まっています。誰が故郷を捨てられましょうか。
Damn, you're saying that to Stark of all people? That's crazy. How's he gonna react to that? Is he gonna think about that? Think about abandoning his family and stuff? Even though, you know, it played out very different. He didn't just abandon them, but he does have those feelings. What is that thing? Is that what it was? It looks like Qual, almost. Well, actually, it looks nothing like Qual, but kind of design-wise, a little. I wonder if they're the same type of, like, demon, monster, beast.
これが例の魔物か。
monster?
油断しないようにね。
But it looks like it's using a sword. It's not using magic. Oh, shit. Okay, Stark, let's go. The fluidity in this animation is sick. This monster is jumping around. This is a real test for Stark here. Yep, it is. It is a formidable foe. Frieren gonna blast at it from directly above. Oh. Oh no. Shit. Yep, it's got quick reflexes and it's got battle knowledge. It's very tactical. Evan Call popping off once again. Oh. Oh, the way he's... Oh, shit. That's my front liner right there. The butterflies. What do the butterflies do? Oh, they're just a distraction. That's sick. Okay, there's one arm gone. Was that the sword arm? Lock it down. The other arm? Holy shit. But so am I! Yes, you are, Stark. Holy shit. Wow, the way he trusts her. That was sick. The trust he had in her not to also damage, like, Stark himself. Oh, and Fern put a protective barrier around him. Oh, that was so cool. Look at the way they work together. Like, I love it. That's nothing compared to what we'll see later. Oh no. Jeez. Yeah. But we're getting battle experience. No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't be worth the price of losing out in these memories together. Oh, was that one of the dinosaurs they fought earlier? And they struggled against one of those dinosaurs that they killed easily. That's why. We're here to help. Yeah, him of the hero's influence once again. Being reflected on everybody here. We're here to do what he did all those years ago. Oh, and he's actually thinking back. Aww. Oof.
気合い入れて進むよ。今回はシュタルクの捨て身の頑張りでなんとかなったけれど、今後はパーティーとしての連携をもっと意識していかないとね。
Yeah, it's not so much one person does one thing. We're gonna have to come up with plans.
別に座ってるわけじゃないぜ。
I thought he was just pulling a guts. He did his best. Frieren spell. That was a really good episode. Why do I say that at the end of every Frieren episode? Of course it was a really good episode. And that was season 2, episode number 4 of Frieren, of course. And yeah, this was an episode in 2 parts, as most Frieren episodes are. You know, it generally, for a lot of this series, it's a story told in the first half and then a secondary, like, separate story told in the second, which is really nice because, you know, it gives each episode, like, a lot of life and character that, you know, there's so much going on. So this episode, of course, starts with the date. And before all of that, we see Fern actually preparing for the date. She's picking out her clothes. She's getting help deciding what clothes to wear from Frieren. But Frieren's like, I don't know. It doesn't really matter, does it? Hey, can you fix my hair for me? So yeah, Fern very angrily does braids for Frieren, which is hilarious because it's it is like very frustrating if you were to be Fern in this situation where you're asking for help and someone doesn't really care to help you, but then ask for help themselves. It's like, no, screw you. Why would I? And Fern goes to all the effort that we even see within this, her fixing her hair. She's fixing her like fringe and everything. She's pulling apart different strands to make her hair fall perfectly. And she's really gone above and beyond and gone out of her way to, you know, be ready for a date. She's wearing different clothes. She's dressed like well, and she has, you know, she's done a good job to make herself look good. And that's when we see Stark, who has done absolutely nothing. He's wearing his usual clothes, and he doesn't really necessarily have the most positive look on his face. He's just kind of like staring dead ahead. Like, yeah, Stark really kind of disappointed me for the first like part of this episode because he just very clearly looked awkward and he didn't really know what he was doing. He looked very out of his comfort zone, which is absolutely fine. Like, that's, I'm not faulting him for it. This is very new for him and for Fern, but you know, Fern did go to all this effort and he couldn't even comment on it besides, you're not wearing your usual clothes. And when she said, well, we're on a date, he didn't really, you know, have much to say. He just was like, shall we go then? Which, of course, throwback to the name of the first episode. And within this, we see other couples, you know, kind of talking as they walk past, and Stark's kind of like watching them like, is this how normal people act? Because he doesn't have that kind of relationship with Fern. The relationship he has with Fern is very it's very unique, I guess, to use a word. And within this moment, he kind of does look at Fern, and you see this like romance kind of filter almost creep in. You hear the sound effects and you see the way he looks at her. Time slows down, which of course is very adorable and very tropey for a romance kind of angle and stuff like that. But all he does is think to himself, has she always been this cute? He doesn't say anything. That's it. Just, has she always been this cute? And something like that does make a lot of sense to me because he has never looked at her that way. He has only ever looked at her as a companion, someone that he's on this journey with. He's never looked at her with like he wants to, you know, be with her, or he likes her in a certain way. I mean, I think he does like spending time with her, but, you know, this episode kind of spelled out to me that he's never once looked at her and thought of her as someone pretty or anything like that. I think he's just looked at her as someone his age that he likes talking to, he likes spending time with, and yeah, it makes it even more surprising then that he asked her out on a date, I guess, because, you know, what that means. But I'm not saying he's never like thought about liking her or anything like that, because, you know, there've been moments throughout this where I've thought, you know, he probably has, but I think that this is kind of the first time he's seeing her as a potential romantic interest. That's kind of how I'm viewing this, because this kind of clicks something in his brain. But then again, like, you could argue against that because, as he says later in the date, he wanted this to be perfect for her. He went to all the effort for her, and we've seen other things that he's done throughout the series, like going and getting the bracelet for her, you know, like all these things that he has done for her that represents the fact that he does think a great deal about her. But, you know, I think that from this point on, we might see more of a romantic interest from Stark for Fern, because I do think that Fern is very clearly showing, you know, some like romantic interest in Stark, especially within season 2. Like, season 2 has been much more heavy on that than I feel like season 1 was. So they head out towards Marketplace and everything, and you know, this is where they start to talk about Frieren. Frieren bringing back all the magical items and stuff. And this is kind of around the point where Fern is like, hey, we keep talking about Miss Frieren. And that's very true. Like, they don't have anything else to talk about. Like, that changes by the end of the date and everything. They do switch up the conversation topic and everything. But I do think it's very interesting that Frieren right now to them is the only common thing that they have to talk about. You know, they're not really talking about their own lives, they're not talking about their feelings, they're not talking about anything that they've experienced or anything. It's just hey, this thing the Frieren did, hey, this thing the Frieren did, hey, here's this thing the Frieren did. You know, it's very much a lot of that, which is Also really nice to see though just the adoration that both of them have for Frieren. You know, like if you look at it from that perspective, she very clearly has a huge influence on their lives, and you know, that point that I've just made about her having a huge influence on their lives is very clear within their conversations here about her. But it's also very important then when later on in the episode they talk about their masters, you know, with Heiter and Eisen, who obviously had a huge influence on their lives. So it's nice to see that those three members of the party of heroes have had huge influence on their lives. But then of course when it comes to Frieren, the one who has had the influence on her life the most is Himmel. You know, like you could draw out like one of those family tree diagram things to show like who's influenced who in all these ways, and I think that's so adorable that, you know, it all goes back to Himmel. Everything goes back to Himmel, even what Eisen says and everything within this when he talks about why he took in Stark, it goes back to Himmel. Himmel is the ultimate influence in this series, in this world perhaps, but you know, that's not what we're talking about right now, but I just think it's really just incredible just when you think about everything like that. So while they're out, they discover that you can get a discount if you are on a date. Stark's plans kind of seem like they're going out of whack here when he asks her if she wants something to eat and she says not yet, because we know that she's a snacker. So, you know, the fact that she doesn't want to eat yet, it's like, oh shit, well, that kind of seemed like a lot of their plans, what they were going to do and everything. But they end up going around and they're just walking around, and when they start to look at all of these different things, they're just walking by, and then Fern picks out like this little necklace, I guess, with like a pendant on it, and she's looking at it and she's almost got a smile on her face while she looks at it and talks about, you know, how couples get a discount. Stark does not read the room properly and simply says being on a date has its benefits. Like, you're not supposed to think about things like that. You're not supposed to think like, oh, we can take advantage of being on a date right now and get all this stuff at a discounted price. You should be thinking about the person you're out on that date with. You should be thinking about what it is that you're doing. Like, you know, they're out on a date, and that should be the main priority here, not, you know, like, oh, there's benefits to this. And so Fern simply, it's like, oh, you're blunt, and kind of frowns and puts it down. And you know, it did seem like she kind of wanted this and she was dropping hints for Stark, but he did not pick up on it. And as they go to walk away, because Stark says there's other stuff over here, we should go take a look. As they go to walk away, another couple goes up to it. The girl says, oh, that's really cute. And the guy's like, how much is it? I'll buy it for you. And she's watching that. And she does look rather sad and upset because she you know, it shows kind of like an idealistic relationship, I guess, couple, date, whatever it happens to be, that maybe she was expecting, maybe she was hoping for here, but she didn't get that. She got instead Stark, who's just so focused and worried about making this day as enjoyable as possible, and in his mind doing that is following all these things that him and Frieren talked about. So he's just like, we should go to the next stall, blah blah blah, which is disappointing because this could have been a moment for him to make this a memorable day for her. They walk around some more. They end up getting these big ass dumplings, pork dumplings, biggest dumplings I've ever seen in my life. They looked really good, and I'm not really a dumpling guy, but whenever they bit into them and you could see inside it, I was like, oh, I could really go for some of that right now. So yeah, like that was really cool, just seeing, you know, that, because she had said previously she didn't want to eat, and now we see that they're eating. So I wonder what changed her mind there, and you know, what it was. But you know, after that then we see them eating food, and Fern is eating pancakes, so she's getting a dessert, kind of like pancakes can be sweet and everything. But we see that Stark is eating like one of those jumbo berry, I can't remember what it's called, but it's something like that anyway, that we saw back in season 1. And so that's them knocking off desserts, which is another thing that he wanted to do with her. And that's then when we finish off here on the view site where they're looking out over the village, the town, whatever it is, and she says this is a beautiful view, and they're kind of just enjoying looking out over everything. And they somehow once again start to talk about Frieren, because they're talking about Himmel, and you can't talk about Himmel without talking about Frieren, of course. And this is where Stark just straight up asks, did you not have a nice time? You haven't smiled once. And she's like, well, I did enjoy everything we did. I like, it's things that I like, but this didn't feel like you. This didn't feel like, you know, a date that we would have gone on. And this takes me back. I forgot to say as well, there was a moment earlier where she went to stumble because she's not used to wearing these shoes, and he caught her. So, you know, that was a really sweet moment where I thought maybe they would, from that moment on, begin to talk, begin to like have these moments, because the way she looks at him was very trusting, I guess. And, you know, it was really nice, but nothing really happened beyond that. And yeah, Stark kind of is like, well, I had Frieren choose the places that we went to, and when he's asked why, he's like, I wanted you to enjoy today. I wanted this to be a day that, you know, you would like and you would enjoy, because we've never been on a date before, so I wanted today to be a special day. And, you know, he's just he's very honest here, which I really, it's something I love about Stark. He's a very honest person. He's very true, blunt, and just straight to the point, I guess. Not super straight to the point, as much as, you know, sometimes Fern can be, but he is someone who shares what he's feeling. He doesn't, you know, hold all these feelings in. But then Fern is like, well, you know, I was kind of disappointed, you know, this didn't feel like us. But then we see her smile, and she says, I really appreciate all the effort you put in. I'm glad, and it makes me feel so happy to know that you really went above and beyond here to rack your brain just for me. And yeah, it's all about the effort and the journey, and, you know, doing something maybe out of your own comfort zone, which is something she comments on. You know, it wasn't very you. It was a day tailor made specifically for Fern, and he went out of his way to do all these things for her. They end up sitting on the bench then, which, you know, it's when the date's kind of coming to a close, and Fern's like, oh, that cloud looks familiar. That looks like one of the pork buns we had earlier. And this cloud is reminding me of a few different things. One thing that's reminding me of is Bao, of course, the little short from like Disney or Pixar or whatever. And another being, of course, my guys Siegmeyer and Siegward, of course, both from Dark Souls and Dark Souls 3. I guess you could also say Sieglind from Dark Souls 1 as well. You know, the little onion kind of like top, like, that looks like a pork bun, but, you know, they're called Onion Knights, Onion Bros, whatever. It reminds me a lot of that, and I love it. And they have a nice little laugh and a cute little like moment here where they giggle to each other as they're looking at it. And then they kind of do talk about their pasts, which is great. I love that they finally open up here talking about time with Heiter and Eisen. At least I hope they actually told each other about this, and it wasn't just what we saw, where we saw them be like, yeah, I have Eisen to thank for that, yeah, I have Heiter to thank for that. I hope they actually shared what they mean by that to one another, because that's kind of what I wanted to see there. So they say that, and then we get a little flashback. I've already talked about this flashback between Stark and Eisen, and that's then when we get a flashback, of course, Himmel the hero and Frieren, and it's their perfect day out, where Himmel is so happy because they've spent time with one another, and he shares about how, you know, spending this time is what's most important. You know, like, you go on this journey, you go on this adventure, it's not about, like, you know, always succeeding. It's about enjoying the things that you do, like enjoying the journey as you do it, because he had fun being out and about with Frieren, which is just adorable. And then we get to see Frieren with braids once again, but this time there's no parts that are sticking out all over the place. It's very well done, and Frieren shares that she gets those braids when Fern is happy. So that makes everything better, you know, like when Fern is happy, because now we know she truly had a great time. We get to see, I guess, one of the first times that Fern looks really impressive to Stark, because she's a first class mage, and he's like, wow, she's really impressive, because the guard is like, oh, you're first class mage Fern, you may pass. So yeah, it's just really cool seeing that. Like, I really do think it's one of the coolest things, just seeing how Fern is just allowed to pass, you know, through all these checkpoints and stuff. So they pass anyway, and then they're surrounded by these beasts, and it's just really funny seeing when Stark's like, oh, this doesn't seem too bad, and then the others are like, oh, are you being serious? We're completely surrounded right now, because Per Stark cannot sense this mana. So they fight them anyway. They fight these like monsters, these dinosaur looking things, and it's very easy for them. And as they continue, you see all these other beasts. It's crazy. They don't get to sleep for 3 days and nights, because they're constantly on the run. They're constantly, you know, fighting these things. And when they finally get to a village, they ask if they can stay there, and they're told, hey, well, in return for being allowed to stay here, you have to slay this big monstrous beast for us. So they're like, okay, fine, it's on our way anyway. It's not like we're going out of our way. So they agree to do it. But during this, Stark is like, hey, it's not that far until you can get to a safer area. Why do you stay here? And that's when the guy talks about homes and how you can't just abandon your home. You've got all these memories. This is where you grow up. But this kind of resonates a lot with Stark, because he did abandon, like, I don't think he abandoned his home, but, you know, he views himself as being an abandoner. He abandoned his home and he abandoned his family, and so these words really resonate with him. And, you know, he does look a little upset as he's walking away. But that's then when we do come across the monster, and this monster looks very Qual-like in its appearance, I would say. I don't know if that's fair. It's just kind of like the build and the white hair and everything, and I guess the horns. It's making me think that, because otherwise it doesn't really look like Qual. Just kind of some appearance features, and they don't really comment on it looking like Qual. So maybe it's not the same type of monster at all. Especially because this one doesn't seem to use any magic. It's just swordsmanship. But yeah, this thing does look like a beast. We get some really sick animation here. The action animation for Frieren is always above and beyond, and it always looks incredible. But yeah, it was just really nice getting to see them fight here, opposed to running away. And it didn't cut away before we actually got to see the fight, like it did with the dragon, the 3 dragon head thing in the previous episode. We got to see the full thing here. And yeah, we see Stark zipping about. Stark is doing acrobats. He's really trying his damn best, and I absolutely love that he's really come into his own as a frontliner. He doesn't run when it matters, and Frieren and Fern, of course, are just doing their thing. They're trying to get spells off, but it is kind of dangerous because of Stark being in the way. So it's clear here that while they are trying to work as a team, their teamwork does need some effort. There needs to be call-outs, there needs to be a plan, there needs to be kind of this intuition between the team. Like, there needs to be that dynamic that they can just tap into and understand, okay, this person's going to do this, I should be ready, and then jump in. You know, like, they need that, because they don't necessarily have it right now. They're kind of getting in each other's ways, and that almost ends up costing Stark his life when he calls in a last-ditch effort, as Frieren calls it later in the episode. But we did also see here where Fern was using a lot of defensive spells here, and she did use a spell then that when it like a barrier, when it dissipated, it made butterflies, which distracted the beast, that allowed Frieren to blast its arm off. So that's really, really cool. I didn't realize that they could do that when the spell is dissipated and the mana's dissipating, I guess, that they could influence it to be a distraction. Like, it's really cool, actually, in all honesty. Or maybe you know, some of the barriers she caused to break off. Like, I don't know how it worked, but the butterflies were really, really cool here. And the moment where Stark jumped into danger to grab Fern, I really loved it, because it's the second time we've seen him protect her and save her from falling, where he gets in the way and he's the frontliner. He takes the damage so she doesn't have to. I do really love that here, because it just goes to show what's truly important and everything. And like, he really does jump into danger when it matters. Like, he doesn't run away when it matters, which is something that he and Fern have talked about quite a bit in the past. And yeah, Stark just kind of locks it down, as Frieren says, and ends up choking this monster out, which allows Frieren to blast it away. And this is right when he could have been in danger here, but he trusted Frieren anyway, and Fern ends up casting a defensive spell around Stark. So that's the reason he's alive, and that protected him. They defeat the monster, and when they're talking about how this thing was really strong, Frieren says, well, we've just entered this place. They're going to only get stronger. They're going to be as strong as that. And going forward, we're going to have better teamwork, which I absolutely agree with. But we do also see a moment where it shows the heroes party who were struggling against one of the monsters that we saw them fight earlier very easily, one of the dinosaurs. So it just goes to show just how, you know, this battle experience really does help. You know, you'll eventually like get enough experience that you can take on these monsters and more because of the experience that you've had fighting others. And I love the moment once again where we see Stark say, hey, we should have just taken a boat. Even if it's expensive, it would have been easier. And then we get a flashback to Frieren essentially saying the same thing with the hero parties. And Himmel says, but that's why I wanted to go this way. People live here, and I wanted to become a hero so that I could protect my hometown, and I also want to protect the hometowns of the people that live here, because people do live here, and that's really important to me. And Frieren does share exactly that, and Stark starts to smile. So it's a really beautiful sentiment, and once again, the influence of Himmel the hero showing true here. But yeah, poor Stark is absolutely wrecked here. He cannot even stand up, and that's basically how this episode ends. So what a great episode, what a great way to wrap this one up. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what comes next as they travel even deeper and even further on their journey towards End Day. Who knows what's going to come next, but I'm sure it's going to make for a great episode. But I do kind of wish that this episode had aired during the week of Valentine's, even if the date wasn't as we were hoping. It was a good first date, and I hope that we get to see more going forward. But yeah, I'm going to wrap this one up now. I hope that you guys enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe if you have not done so already, and leave a comment down below letting me know what this date meant to you. If you want to show even more support, you could hit the notification bell down below so that you'll be notified when future videos are uploaded on the channel. And of course, feel free to share this with a friend who you think might enjoy Frieren reaction content. So yeah, I hope that you guys are having a great day today and that you're able to take it easy. I will see you in the next one. Take care.